TW, how are we, mate? Thanks for coming on in the box. Really appreciate it. First of all, mate, how's things?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me. Just got a little bit of a corona growth on going with a beard. But
yeah, see, I've gone the other way. I've gone the other way. That's why I've got my cap on though, because all my cow licks are coming through now.
Oh, lovely. You took the barnet off.
Whipped it off, mate.
Looking forward to discussing some football, mate.
That's it, mate. Well, listen, that's the main reason why I've done it is set this up. I've been wanting to do something like this for a little while anyway, as I explained to you beforehand. So I'll just put my timer on there as well, so I don't go too over my time. Yeah, I wanted to do something like this. Obviously, with the lack of sport that's on at the moment, be great for people. I love watching things like this myself. So yeah, I thought why not give it a shot, and I can ask the questions, and also on the other side of it, just so some of our younger viewers can listen in. Some whether they're aspiring young footballers, academies, or if they're not academies already, just so maybe they can hear some stories and hear from somebody who's been there and done it, like yourself, TW. Yeah, so the boredom, how are you getting on with the boredom yourself? Anyway.
Well, it's tricky. Obviously, as you know, I've got two boys, aged 10 and 14. So I've become a full-time teacher at home, which is a little bit tricky. Doing some GCSE work, it's cleansing some of the brain cells, but it's important for them to be active mentally and physically. So that's keeping me fully occupied, mate, at the minute.
Perfect, mate. Right, let's get down to it. Your team, you've sent me it over. You can obviously, I've got it in front of me, but I'm sure you can remember who you've got. We'll start off in between the sticks. Who have you gone for?
Well, it's quite tricky. I played with some really good keepers, and I kind of sort of had 3 or 4 of them on the same kind of bracket. But I've gone with this guy because he's the only lefty of them. So I've gone with him. I think keepers are nutcases. I think keepers are absolute nutcases. You've got to have something seriously wrong with you mentally to be a goalkeeper. It's not football. It's a different sport. Goalkeeping is a different sport to football. It's not the same sport. It isn't. And don't get me wrong, what they do is brilliant and fundamental. But the guy I've gone for is Andy Lonergan.
Okay.
I played with him at Preston. He's played for he's been at Leeds and now he's an understudy. He's back up at Liverpool. But I think I've just leant towards him because he was a lefty as well. But he was brilliant. He's just had these stupidly long arms and he just got to everything. He just got to everything. You think that's what sometimes looking back at defender, you're behind the line of the shot of the forward, and you think, that's it. But he used to get his hands to him. I used to think, have you got that? Have you got that? And I've gone, cool, you've saved us there, boy. But
cool.
Yeah, he was good, mate. Really, really good player. Good lad as well. Great lad. Everyone in my team's a good lad as well. No, sometimes you can get amazing players and they're not always team players, but he was really good in the dressing room as well.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, like, what a job he's got at the minute. You know what I mean? Just like watching the best team in Europe from the best seat possible. You know what I mean?
Fantastic, but mentally, I think that's another part. Obviously, he's a little bit older now. He's a couple of years younger than me, but he's, I would say, probably coming to the last couple of years of his career. And we've seen keepers do that over the last few years. They've gone from being number ones at Champions League 1 teams to going being number 2s or even number 3s at really high-end Prem teams because they need keepers. They really do. They play so many games in so many competitions, and even in training, like there's normally a keeper that's just there to get absolutely peppered for shooting. Sometimes they will use youth team goalies, but the teams right at the top will have 3 or 4 really top quality keepers, and we're seeing that a lot more recently. We saw Lee Grant go to Man United. We saw, I think Rob Green went to Chelsea. Yeah, definitely. A few have gone to big clubs, and you think they're not going to play, but they're still doing a really important job.
Yeah, no, of course. And yeah, like I say, what a gig that is. And to be fair, the way Adrian's form's been, he might even get a game, to be fair.
He's thrown him in, and he's gone out in the last game with his ice skates and his bunion gloves on, isn't he? What's he doing?
Unbelievable, Steve. Right, that's your goalkeeper done. Before we get into your team then, have you gone to, obviously you've just mentioned there, you've gone, you said they're all good lads and stuff, but you've gone into this, like literally you've gone for pretty much the best. I know, listen, a lot of people might, do it differently and stuff, but you've not just name dropped, you've literally gone for you thought about it with your manager's head on, have you? Like you've gone for your, you're trying to put your best team out.
Yeah, the way I went, I didn't play any first team games at West Ham. Obviously, I was there for 2 years and trained with some amazing players, but I've not gone with any of them. I didn't actually play in a first team 11 with them, even though I played with them in friendlies and pre-season games.
Yeah.
I didn't play with them in a first team 11, so that could have been an unbelievable, addition to my 11. But I've gone with players that I played with, and I thought at the time, Cole, you're an awful good player, you.
Yeah.
When I was playing with them, there could have been players that I put in that were on the back end of their careers when I played with them and played at the highest level, but before I was with them. So I've gone mainly when I played with them.
Yeah. No, to be honest, mate, that's great. And to be honest, like I say, most people who I've had on so far have done exactly the same sort of thing, and I think it just must be a footballer thing where you know yourself whether someone's at the peak of their powers when you're playing with them, and like I say, it just makes sense to go for players that at the time when you're playing with them, you're like, what player he was at the time, So no, that's absolutely perfect, mate. So it's a back four, and we'll start off at right back, and we'll work our way across. So who's your right back, TW?
So my right back is Jeff Kenner. Maybe some of the younger guys won't know who he is, but he was somebody that I played with at Birmingham City, and I was there really young. I was only 20, and I just thought, wow, what a fullback, and what a great player. He used to be up and down. And the thing that ticked the box for me was he had the no-look pass into the forward's feet. It was unbelievable. Yeah. When I was there, I couldn't do that. I used to look at him thinking, has he done that? He's looking at his right mid, and he's fizzed that right into the forward. He was just so good at it. And obviously, just before he came to Birmingham, he won the league with Blackburn, so he used to fizz balls into Shearer. I'm sure that wasn't too difficult, making that stick. Do you know what I mean? But he was just, when some people say, people are 7 out of 10 every week, he was better than that. He was such a good passer of the ball. Yeah. And it was towards the end of his career, and he was such an important player for Birmingham at the time as well. Yeah. And I thought he was brilliant, mate. And he got me working on my ability to be looking at my left winger and reverse fizzing it into the front man. Yeah. And doing it with confidence. He was just so good at it, so good.
Yeah, no, of course. And to be fair, you mentioned there about younger, some of our younger viewers probably not remembering, but luckily enough, I was an absolute football boffin when I was a youngster, and I do remember him. Yeah, Southampton, Blackburn. Remember him playing in the Premier League. Yeah, top player, and went on to I was looking earlier actually doing a bit of homework. He made a hell of a lot of appearances, so no problems with that one. Centre halves, 2 centre halves. Who's in there first?
2 centre halves. See, I've gone for one a bit more of a ball player, and one a bit more of an absolute what should we call him, a beast. So I'll go with my ball player first, and I've gone for Sean St Ledger. Okay. Who was actually the first time I was at Peterborough when I was in the first team. He was only 14, 15. He was a YT, doing the boots and looking on. And then I moved away, and he started playing in the first team there. And then he moved on to better things. He played at Middlesbrough, and then we actually crossed paths again at Preston. Yeah. And just someone that used to bring the ball out so comfortably, and maybe his defensive skills got undervalued and underlooked because he was so comfortable on the ball. Yeah. But he played a lot of games for Republic of Ireland, and he was really, really, really highly thought of there. And maybe someone that might not be on other people's radars, but for me, he was a top draw centre half. Yeah, no,
obviously he had a fantastic career, and I remember watching. Again, being the football buff and that was, I remember watching like Big Ron's Manager, and he was like on there as a youngster at Peterborough. Yeah. Then was you there then?
I wasn't there, but even then, I know he'd just gone into the first team. He was just gone into the first team then when he was there, but he was really, really young. And that was his probably might have even been his first season in the first team.
Yeah, because I remember watching the show. I remember watching the show and like thinking, "Cool, like he had a bit about him. Like he was a bit arrogant. Like you could tell that like he had a bit about him." And then obviously he then went on to obviously play at a higher level. So, you know, he obviously used that arrogance in the right way and, you know, went on to have a great career. So, yeah, that's good. Good pick.
Yeah, he was very, very confident in his ability on the ball, which obviously you have to be. It's everything. You know, with the ball playing centre halves, every now and again you do get a mistake because obviously forwards take gambles and they're closing you down. But that never used to stop him. I remember a game we played away at Derby, and he made a mistake really early in the first minute or so, cost the goal. But he was just brilliant after that. His ball playing after that, the way he brought it out was superb.
Perfect. He's in. Who partners him?
So I've gone for a little bit of finesse one side, and then the other side I've gone for the man mountain, the Great Wall of China, Danny Shitu.
That sounded like that actually.
You have to have lunch with him to believe him, mate. Honestly, you have to be in the canteen when they're serving the lunch to see the size of this guy and what he puts away. But wow, he could move. He could shift. Honestly, really? I think. Don't quote me wrong. I think he was something like 18.5 stone, and he was the quickest player in our team.
Wow. Yeah. So you've gone for Sean St Ledger at the back there. Who is partnering him at the back?
Well, I've got Sean, who's a bit of a finesse and a bit more of a smoother centre back. So I've gone for someone you'd have as your beast, your Great Wall of China. I've gone for Danny Shitu. Honestly, mate, the size of this guy, you have to either be, you know, getting changed next to you in the dressing room or eating lunch with him just to get your head round. Not just his height, his width. He's like 2 guys wide. But the crazy thing is, he's about 18.5 stone, and he was the quickest player at the team as well. It's frightening.
Yeah, of course, as well. Especially like you say, to be that much of a brute and to be quick as well, like scary, isn't it?
Honestly, he was. He very rarely tried to complicate things. He knew his strengths, and he didn't play on his weaknesses. He wasn't great on the ball, and he knew that. But he could run, he could cover, he could tackle, he could defend, he could head, and he was a real threat in the other box as well. You know, if the ball went, you know, sometimes the ball goes over the back 4, you think, oh, I'll get after that. He was already there. You know, it was frightening.
Yeah,
he used to eat the ground up. You know, we was on an away trip one day. We were playing Cardiff, and we stopped off at I think it was Barry Town. Stopped at Barry Town to train, and finished training. And a couple of boys wanted to race him. They wanted to race him over a length of the pitch. So, and these were quick players. Like there was 3 really, really quick players. He let them start on the 18-yard box, and he started on the goal line. And literally by halfway line, he'd eaten them up. He'd gone past all of them. It was frightening.
Unbelievable.
Craziness, honestly.
To be fair, I spoke to one. He'd gone.
I say lovely, and again, lovely guy.
Yeah.
He'd do anything for you. I bumped into him in Barbados about 5 or 6 years. No, 5 or 6 years after we were playing with each other. We were both still playing, but at different clubs then. And we had a great time. Yeah,
because when I spoke to people, he often says, you know, just an hello to me. To be fair, I don't really know him, but just know him to say hello to. And everyone says that, you know, like off the pitch, he's like gentle giant, you know.
Yeah, he is gentle giant, not a not bad bone, or sometimes you see players are malicious and they want to leave their foot in. Nothing like that. He was just so strong, strong.
Yeah, cool. Right, okay, that's your centre half done. We go to left back, mate, and you have gone for yourself.
Well, I thought that was the idea because it was obviously any team that I played in, I would have been playing left back, so no one else would have been playing there. So that's why I've gone for me.
Yeah.
But I thought that was the general idea. So I never really played with another left back. I've never, you know, so I either played or I didn't. So that was it really. So I've left myself in there. I wasn't too bad.
That's it, mate. That's it. You've gone for yourself. Like I say, no problem with that. Like I said, whatever club you've been at, it's probably been you at left back. So no problem. Plus, you're picking the team anyway at the end of the day. Yeah, so you've gone for yourself in there. Absolutely, yeah. No qualms about that. One to the left foot. I'll give you that one. And like I say, you're picking the team. So why shouldn't you enjoy yourself playing in there? Just a question on yourself there, really, Tom. Like, where do you feel Yeah, where do you feel you was at your peak? Because obviously you had like various amount of clubs. You had a couple of different spells at QPR, a couple of different spells at Peterborough. Where do you feel that you was at your peak of your powers, really?
A difficult one really, because I don't know if it was the misfortune, but I seemed to be at some really big clubs when I was younger, and hadn't had a lot of experience, and really sort of developed my game later in my years, really, with experience. And I think that comes with defending as well. You just your general learning is comes at your older age. I would say probably I had a spell of a couple of years where I moved from Peterborough, Preston and QPR, those sort of 2 or 3 years there, sort of 08, 09, 10, 11, those 3-4 years there, I think probably where I was probably at my peak, I would say, sort of physically, and had the experience of the years of sort of being a defender of age 27 to 31 rather than being 19, 20, and just being a sort of, not a headless chicken, but it's your decision making changes, doesn't it, and gets better. So I would say definitely those sort of 08 to 11 seasons were my best. Yeah,
that's when you was more of a complete player.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Right, you're in anyway. You're in your own team. No problems with that. I wasn't sure how you was going to do it with your midfield. What sort of shape was you going for?
I think I'm going to go. I'm going to go old school. I'm going to go 4-4-1-1.
Okay, cool.
4-4-1-1, 4-4-1-1, 4-5-1, 4-4-2 really. I'll do my 2 sitting midfielders first, my 2 centrals.
Cool. Go on. Well, you lead us on, mate. Where are we starting?
Yeah, first guy. A lot of people know is Jimmy Bullard.
Cool.
He's a really close friend of mine. We were at West Ham together. Sort of grew up there really, and then actually both left at the same time, and both went to Peterborough, where we started our careers properly.
Yeah.
And Jimmy made the move from being a kind of right winger forward to a central midfielder. Then he kept saying to Barry, I want to play centre midfield. I want to play centre midfield. And Barry said to me, I signed you as a right winger and he's like, I want to play centre midfield. I want to play centre midfield. He didn't start him there first sort of half of the season. He didn't, but he moved him in there, and that was it. He just took the ball by the horns, and he just wanted the ball from everywhere. He used to come over, the keeper would have the ball, and he'd be literally standing on my toes because he'd want the ball off the keeper. And I'm like, Jim, go away, get away from me. Like, I'll give you the ball, not a problem. But he just wanted the ball off everybody. He was always an option, and he very quickly changed himself from this sort of. He was quite a tricky winger to this very sort of technical, very good striker of the ball, very good passer of the ball, sort of deep line midfielder who used to go and get things going, but very, very, very good player. And obviously, everyone knows about his bundles of energy and his characteristics off the pitch. But he's a great lad, and we roomed for a good few years as well. So obviously, you get close with someone with that as well. But great guy, great player.
Yeah. See, I was going to ask about, because obviously everyone knows about Jimmy off the field. I actually know him personally myself as well. Like, great lad, good laugh, and to be fair to him, he's brilliant on the television. Like, I think he's rescued Sopra over the last couple of years. He's got that back on track with the other lad there, and it's he's Fenners, and it's been brilliant. But yeah, it's just interesting to hear how good of a player was he. Like, obviously you say you was with him at 2 different clubs, as a youngster. So it's just interesting to hear, what a good player he was.
Top player. Yeah. Great technique. Sometimes I always say lefties strike the ball sweet and a little bit different. He had that in a righty. He really, really struck the ball well, cleanly. His energy levels as well, and his enthusiasm for the game every day at training. He was absolutely buzzing every day at training. He was the same. Like, you wouldn't get, sometimes you get players that come in and they'd have the arse one day, or they'd be grumpy one day, or they wouldn't train as well. You'd get the same out of him every single day. A great lad, we're similar kind of thing where we obviously got kids of the same age as well. So we still speak now all the time and meet up and yeah, he's a good lad, great lad, and a very, very good player.
Yeah, different class, great lad. And to be fair, it'd be one I wouldn't mind getting on here. I'm sure I'd have a good hour with him.
You would have. Well, the thing is though, you might have to do him over a 2 or 3 episode special because he can chat.
No, that's not a problem, mate. If I can get him on here, it'd be worth it. Anyway, I could do a 2-part special anyway. But no, that's great, mate. Alongside him in centre midfield.
Yeah, alongside him, Ali Forlane, QPR, Alejandro Forlane, great player. I didn't know anything about him before I re-signed at QPR. Argentinian lad, very, very quiet off the pitch. Yeah. Very, very smooth and calm and casual. And just again, someone who would receive the ball in any situation. You could give him the ball with 3 players on him in the smallest of pockets. He had a great left foot. He had any pass in the locker, any range, and he almost, when he passed you the ball, it was almost controlled for you before you got it. You never have to control it. It was like his weight was superb. And then after I left QPR, he went on to be a really important part of them and a really sort of central figure in them getting promoted to the Premier League. And unfortunately, he had a couple of bad injuries, but a hell of a player.
Yeah, because I remember he was unfortunate with injuries. Because when I was coming through at Gillingham, I played a few games against him in the reserves, and he was a joke. Like his ability was frightening. So
he was comfortable.
Injuries obviously held him back. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say held him back. They really stopped him, sort of, shining even more. He's just such a good player, mate. Honestly, he could go and get the ball all left foot. Literally, I don't think I ever hardly saw him touch the ball with his right foot, but he didn't need to. Didn't need to. He had the outside of the foot pass, everything. Didn't need it. And his weight was just lovely.
Yeah, see now you've given the game away a bit here. Your keeper's left-footed, your midfielder's left-footed. You've mentioned about Bullard looking like a left-footer. Like you are very biased towards you lefties, aren't you?
I do. I am fond of a lefty, mate. Yeah, and I will back him.
That's class. That's class. Right, where are we going from there? That's your 2 sitting midfielders. Where do we go next?
Let's go left and right. I'll go right side first. As you've just had a go at all my lefties, I'll go right side. That's a guy that I met the first time I signed at QPR, and that's Richard Langley.
Okay. Yeah. See, now I was going to ask you about this because I'm ashamed to say, I've self-acclaimed football boffin. I'm ashamed to say that I've not really heard of this guy. I've not heard of this guy.
Yeah, he's someone who broke into QPR's first team very young, and come through their ranks and really loved by the QPR fans. And again, another one really, really halted by a couple of really bad ACL knee injuries, similar to Ali. But this guy had everything. He was 2-footed. He was predominantly right-footed, but 2-footed. He was 6 foot plus. He could move. He could play centre midfield. He could play anywhere in midfield. He could play off the front man. But when I joined at QPR, he played on the right. And even though we were on opposite sides and we just had that telepathy that he knew if it was getting tight on the left, if he had it right, I'd switch it out to him. And he used to destroy people. He really did. He had a trick to go past people. He had pace to go past people. And if anyone wants to have a look at, he had some unbelievable free kicks in him as well. He scored some great free kicks, got goals. He was a really good player. He then went to Cardiff and had some really bad injuries, so he didn't have the best of luck there. But we used to fight all the time over who was on set pieces. I'd probably say his shooting from free kicks was better than mine, but my delivery was better.
Now I was going to say, to be fair as well, like with all the players that you'd have played with, like midfield players, wide players, like obviously I haven't heard of him myself, but he must have been a good player because, like I say, you would have played with some top players there, and the ones we're about to move on to, are all top players. So for him to be in your 11, is saying something. Just on that, you touched obviously it's great that we can have a bit of crack and we can go through your teammates, but I just want to obviously pick out a few things as we go along as well. For like I say, I'm doing a bit of coaching myself now and stuff, and the younger lads there. Like in terms of someone like him being talented with both feet, like how much of a benefit do you think that is for young players? That, like, you know, how much emphasis would you put on that? On obviously, I know you've got two young aspiring young footballers in your household as well. Like, how much of an emphasis? I know you are a big lefty fan, but how much of an emphasis would you put on that? You being able to use both feet?
I think now, obviously, like you said, I'm seeing my boys growing up and be coached and do sessions, and they are doing that more and more. And it's probably still the same now, where lefties are still more predominantly one-footed than righties. It just seems to be the way, and I still see it now. My youngest weak foot is stronger than my oldest weak foot, but my oldest is predominantly left-footed and doesn't really use his right foot. And it's crazy how that happens. But it's something that I think as a grounding that you shouldn't take for granted, and you shouldn't just, you know, okay, we can all cross the ball with our right foot at the right time, but when you're in that situation running down the wing on the wrong side, and a ball has to go in at that time, you can't be chopping back on your favoured foot. You know, you've got to have the confidence and the ability to put that ball in with your weaker foot as well. I think it is something these days that the levels that our game has gone to, you know, in the Premier and the Champ, where, you know, players are strikers and finishers and crossers of the ball are equally as strong on their weak foot. I think it's becoming more and more predominant. I think as we're getting I mean, we've got the best. I think we've got the best league in the world anyway. But it's becoming more. You know, people say, "Oh, showing his left foot, he won't score." I used to hear that shout all the time when I started playing. You know, coaches should say to me, or the gaffies say, "Got no left foot," so you leave him on there. But you can't do that at the highest level these days.
No.
Any yard, and they'll take it. It doesn't matter what foot it's on. You know.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely something that's improved. You know, people being able to use their both feet. No, that's great. Like I say, used to be a rare breed, to be fair, when I was coming through. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, exactly.
Right,
you're one of a kind.
That's it, mate. No, I just thought, obviously, because that's one thing I always try and say to the boys I'm coaching now and the boys I'm mentoring now. It's like, look, can you, like, just even if you're just smashing the ball up against the wall, or just literally, even if you just said to yourself before a training session, have 10 minutes where you're only allowed to use your weak foot, because I feel it's something that helped you know, my career, and I just feel like it's something, like you said, you know, if you're in trouble, you can get yourself out of trouble by using that weaker foot there.
Definitely, no, I agree totally. I mean, I remember when I first went into West Ham, and I don't think I'd hardly kicked a ball with my right foot in the first 16 years of my life, but I went in there and they made sure I worked on it. You know, it wasn't amazing, but, you know, it got to situations where if I need to, I could clear the ball as a defender with my right foot, you know, which was a start for me. And then as I've got older, I've become a lot more confident with it and a lot more comfortable with it. And, you know, I will make passes with my right foot. You know, I'll always prefer my left foot, but I'm not like you, and I won't put corners in with both feet, nothing silly like that. But,
mate, to be fair, them days are over.
Mate, I think there's only two people I know that put corners in with both feet. That's you and Santi Cazorla. I can't think of anyone else.
That'd be the only time I've ever been in the same sentence as Santi Cazorla, mate. Let me tell you. But listen, right, moving forward, then we will go on to you tell me where we're going. That's wide right player done.
We're going to go wide left.
Yeah.
I'm going to go wide left, but I'm going to allow him to go where he wants, because this is what we did when we played together. We played in an old-fashioned 4-4-2, but he had the freedom to go anywhere and go and pick the ball up, you know, behind the front two on the right, which also benefited my game because I could bomb forward and he left the left wing space for me. So it worked great for both of us, and that's George Boyd.
Okay.
You know, really, really, really talented player, come from non-league and come into the program a little bit later than everybody else. Wasn't overly quick. Didn't have a bag of tricks, but just had great hip movement. He had great body movement, and he could lose a defender in half a chop, half a cut, or half a drag back. And once he got the confidence in his game, he was scoring from everywhere, and rightly so, went on and had a successful career in the Premier League.
Yeah, no, of course, he was, to be honest, like I say, player that I watched. Obviously, he was ahead of me in terms of age group, and I think he top drawer, and he went on to play, like I say, in the Premier League. I was just going to ask, like, in terms of, obviously, for yourself, like say, you come through a big club, big academy anyway, someone well renowned for bringing players through, like West Ham. he actually did it the hard way, right? He come through like Stevenage and done the non-league route. Like,
Yeah.
does that surprise you? Because the way when you watch him, he doesn't look like that sort of player that's going to have come through the non-league circuit, does it?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think there was a time when a lot of League One and Two clubs started to look into the conference and a little bit lower for some value, because they just couldn't compete with some of the teams who were taking players that were getting released from higher clubs and things like that. And George was just shining for Stevenage at the time, and he was just on everybody's lips, and everyone was talking about him, and he was getting assists and goals, and he was still relatively young. So I think it started the trend for, I think, Peterborough taking George and him being a great success, for clubs actually believing in lower league and non-league, and there is real quality there, and maybe that just these players were at academies and stuff when they were younger. It just didn't work out for them at that time, and that's one thing I'll say to players. I've got a lot of kids' parents in my kids' teams, in my son's teams at the minute, saying to me, been released by this club and this club and this club. And I'm like, they're 9, they're 10, they're 11, they're 12. It's just everyone develops mentally and physically at different times in their life. I was at Chelsea from 8 till 14, 15. Got released and played in a non-league youth team for 18 months, and then West Ham took me from there. But I think sometimes when people get released from academies or those higher grades, they get really disheartened and they can lose their love for it. But I think those people that really love it and really believe will always come back.
Yeah, no, listen, I totally agree, and I think like I said, everyone has their different pathways, and that's why, to be honest, it's good that like I said, for the young people listening in and young aspiring players, like, to think that just because you're not at a pro club now doesn't mean to say that you won't necessarily have a better. I'm sure, like someone like George there, he's probably had a lot better careers than people who have been at Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham, and places like that. And like you say, I think I was saying that my dad always used to use was like cream always rises to the top, and at the end of the day, that's obviously the case with him. And it's actually interesting what you say there about that he was probably one of the first ones, wasn't he? Really, actually, thinking about it, especially Peterborough after him, I suppose they actually they'd done it quite a few more times after that, didn't they?
They did, yeah. They took a chance on George, and then when they went and they thought, that's worked. Why can't we use this system and go again? And done it with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more players, and continue to do so. And it's a way for them surviving. They also know then that if it's successful, that they will end up losing that player because they will have to sell them on in the end. But it becomes a business, but a successful business, because you're getting the quality of the player for a 2, 3, 4 year period, and hopefully a profit as well. So they're very good at it. Don't get me wrong. They bought some when I was there. You're thinking, what have we got in here? Like, seriously, honestly, where have you got this one from? I know you've done well with the last 3 or 4 signings, but who's this geezer? Honestly, there was a couple of them, but they've done it really well. One thing I will say about George is, I remember when I think he was at Burnley, and the Prem and Sky Sports got really big on covering sort of ground covered and distance covered in games, and George was sitting comfortably in the top 3 of the whole of the Premier League for distance covered in games. And I can back that up, because unfortunately every pre-season I got partnered with him, and he literally, a boy could run. He could just run and run and run. As I said, it wasn't always at that 100% blistering 100-metre sprint pace.
Yeah.
But that boy could cover some ground, I tell you.
Yeah, he was an unassuming player, when he, like you say, covered the ground probably without actually. It was quite effortless for him, wasn't it, when you watched him play?
Yeah, he looked. Yeah, I think it's a very key word we use there. He was effortless in covering the ground, and his work rate, even his sort of when he used to ghost past defenders, he made that look effortless as well.
No, that's great. He's in. He's wide. What wide left you're saying then? Yeah, no problem coming in. So you allowing you to come up the far side like you used to love doing. Front two then. Front two time. You said it's gonna be like a 4-4-1-1. So I'm guessing you've got a number 10 and a number 9.
Yeah, I've kind of got two number 10s.
Hey, no problem with that. No problem with that.
No, I know. Do you know what? This was really tricky. The front two were really tricky. I played with some really good strikers, and you're talking about players that just scored goals for fun. John Parkin, Aaron McLean, Craig McKell-Smith, Neil Mellor, Jeff Horsfield, Stern John, players that just scored goals and goals and goals for fun. Leon Knight, Barton Fenwa, players that just scored goals, for like it in their sleep. But the two I've gone for are a little bit different, a little bit special. They're really special players. Sometimes people call them luxuries, but for me, they weren't really, because if you had them in their team and you got them the ball and you kept a clean sheet, these two win you the game. The first one I've gone for is Adel Taarabt at QPR.
Okay.
There's hardly any words to describe him. The boy's an absolute joke. What he can do with a ball is phenomenal. He's got not made by himself, but he's got so many YouTube videos of goals, nutmegs, making defenders look silly, but having in product as well. When he first came there, it was a little bit it was just a showboat. But once he turned that into end product, he literally unplayable, mate. Honestly, it was just phenomenal. It was just so good to watch. You knew if you kept a clean sheet and got him the ball, you'd win the game. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
And he was quick and strong as well, which again he just glided over the ground. And I remember one day coming from training. He's in the physio room, but he was in like the office of the physio room, in the computer room, on the computer. Yeah. So I've gone in there and he's laughing. What are you watching? He's watching a YouTube of himself, and it's a video that someone's made, and I think he got 11 nutmegs in one game or something stupid like that. It was just crazy, It was just and some of the goals he scored in the year that QPR got promoted were just brilliant. He was easily by far the best player in the league that year.
Yeah, I remember the season you're talking about. And to be fair, I've only filmed sort of a handful of these so far, and he's made he's been mentioned already. And I used to speak to a lot of when I was at Gillingham, like I say, a few of the lads that come on loan from Tottenham and stuff to us used to talk about him. And honestly, the way they would talk about him, literally everyone who I've ever asked about Taarabt, honestly, like everyone I asked just says like it was just ridiculous, like how good he really, really was, like. And that's just why what obviously he had things that held him back. Like, why do you think he didn't like make it to the top?
To give you another example, so it was like he was a FIFA player. Like his drag backs and his rolls and his ball movement and his body movement was just phenomenal. I'm not sure. There obviously something wasn't right. Yeah. He did have a little bit of a mentality where he thought he was the team, kind of thing. Yeah. But I get that in a kind of the way he played, which I never had a problem with it. I never had a problem with someone getting the headlines and scoring the goals and being the match winner, because everybody's realistic and knows about football, knows you need everybody that's on the pitch to do their job. It's not just the guy that sticks the ball in the net. I'm not sure there was questions about his attitude and his attitude in training and his attitude to his diet, but when I was there and posting with him, it was always spot on. So, but there obviously was something, because he's gone and done. He's gone to AC Milan and tore that up, and then he's fallen out of favour there. Then he went to Benfica on a ridiculous 5-year contract. I think he got put in the B team for like 3 years or something. So it's so something's not quite right. But when he was managed right, maybe it was that. I don't know. When he was, if you got the best out of him, you had a player that could win you the league. Yeah,
no, like I say, everyone I speak to says exactly the same thing. So must have been unbelievable to watch him at such close quarters. You know what I mean? Training and playing with him day in, day out. Right, who completes your 11, mate?
Completing my 11 is the one and only Swansea legend, Lee Trundle. What a guy! Honestly, just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in football. Swansea right through to his core. He started at Wrexham and played for Bristol City as well. But he was this is the kind of thing, and people my boys keep asking me about videos and stuff and photos of when I was playing and stuff, obviously. But when I started playing, there wasn't the coverage like the coverage you get now. The lower leagues weren't covered.
Of course, yeah.
Sort of the Champ 1, 2 weren't covered as they are now. You know, it was the top flight was covered. You know, if you only watch Match of the Day on a Saturday night, there was no other football. You know, there wasn't Sky Sports or, you know, so it was a little bit different. And he kind of went under the radar, his ability, for quite a few years because he was, you know, playing in League 2 and League 1. But then obviously Soccer AM did a good big thing about him, about, you know, the lower league legend and stuff. And he, you know, he really was. He was another player you could give the ball to, and he just draw 2 or 3 defenders and create space for others. He had the chest the size of a double-decker bus. Honestly, you could just pick it out. I can still picture him. His arm. He used to have his arms right next to his chest, and it almost looked like he'd handball it every time. But he was always hitting his chest. It was unbelievable, and he just had a finish where he could smash the ball. Don't get me wrong, but he just used to caress the ball into the corners, and he was a great lad in the dressing room as well. And one you'd have in your team and one you'd have in your trenches as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like I say, I totally spot on what you said there about the coverage, because, you know, some of the younger boys now coming through, they don't realise how lucky they are with the coverage they've got. You know, listen, I was fortunate. I had probably a lot more than even you did. You know, it's always been improving, and there's always been more and more more content for people, you know, young players, young people to be watching. But yeah, like I say, literally, if it wasn't for the Soccer AM thing, he probably would have been under the radar even more, wouldn't he? Because, you know, at one point on Soccer AM, he pretty much had his own slot, didn't
he? Yeah, he had his own slot, and they loved it. They were doing obviously things that were a bit different then, and he came onto the radar then, but fully deserved, because, like I said, I think if we'd had the coverage that we get for the Champ 1 and 2 and even lower now, I think we'd have heard a lot more about him and seen a lot more about him. I mean, I've got games and stuff in the Champ that I can't even find that I played in. You can't even find them.
Of course,
like, I've got bags and bags of assists. I can't even get video. Honestly, I'm not joking. Seriously, I can't even get footage of them. You know, the year that we went out of, I went to Peterborough to Birmingham and just can't find any footage of the games. It's just ridiculous. I think it was partly because you might not know this, but there was ITV had an ITV digital sport for a little bit.
Yeah,
that came in for like a year or 2 years and went bust and never took off and stuff. So a lot of the games were on that then. But the coverage was a lot different. Now we see, you know, League 8 geezer in a stand blowing his nose. You know, you know, you can't get championship goals, but you can see the geezer in League 8 blowing his nose and wiping his dog's arse. It's unbelievable. You know?
No, to be fair, mate, look, I know you're playing the violin a little bit there. You're missing out on a few assists. We'll have to do an appeal. I'll put an appeal out on Instagram or Twitter. Like, can we find TW's assist from like 06 or something? Yeah?
Don't get me wrong. I've still got plenty from the later years.
So how do you think they would have worked as a pair then in your team, them two?
Well, that was my only thing.
That's your only concern, yeah.
It's my only concern. But I've got Gillian Ali holding, so they're sitting there, and I would probably have Truns further up, a bit more targety, and just again let Adele drift, because he could pick the ball up on the left. George could move in as well, so they'd be pretty good, mate.
No problem. That's great. And listen, we spoke about a few of the boys who missed out there along the way. So what some people have decided to do is give us, you know, they want like 7 substitutes and all that, and I've just sort of had to limit it down to just some special mentions. But I feel like you've covered enough people there. And you actually didn't give me a substitute bench based on a football ability. You gave me a substitute. We'll call them the social subs. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about them?
Yeah, I just obviously loads of people that I could have put in the 11 played with some real quality, and very, very lucky to have done that. But also met some people that not only were great players, that you socialise more with, and you know you still speak to all the time, and you know you go on birthday all dayers with them and things like that, you know, and it's a different relationship that I don't know if all people will understand. It's quite a unique and special and lucky thing that we've got to do. So I've got a few people on my bench that if I was having an all day or a Christmas rollover party day, these would definitely get the invite.
And yeah, you have gone for, and I hope it's not in no particular order, but you've gone for Aaron McLean.
Yep.
You've put my, honestly, I'm honoured, mate. Honestly, you've put myself in there, Luke Rooney.
Yep.
To be honest, mate, if I'm being totally honest as well, I think it's more an honour to be put on your social substitute bench than it is to actually be in your starting 11.
Yeah, there was. To be fair,
considering the fact that you've pretty much spent half your life in Vegas, I think you're a man who knows how to party. So yeah, the fact that I've made your social substitute bench, I'm more than happy with that. So yeah, you've got Aaron McLean, Luke Rooney, Mark Bircham, Paul Reed, and Curtis Woodhouse.
Yeah, so I just lost you there 2 seconds. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Social bench.
Just read them out again. That you've cut out again, mate.
You've got Aaron McLean, Luke Rooney, Mark Bircham, Paul Reed, and Curtis Woodhouse.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if everyone knows what I do. I've got a little bit of work where I look after entertaining people in Vegas and hospitality out of there, and they ask me where to go and what am I doing and stuff. But I'll always say it's about who you're with, not where you're going. And I'd have these 5 definitely on an all day with me. Macca, yourself, Reedy, Curtis Woodhouse, and Paul Reed. People, just I've been on some unbelievable, let's call them social activity events with. And to be fair, all 5 of them could make my 11 as well. So that's why they got notable mentions.
Like I say, if you'd have put me in your 11, then I would have been having a steward and saying it's only because I'm hosting. But I'll accept my place on the social sub bench anyway.
Anytime, mate.
Right, we just a few questions to finish off. T-Dubs, we are going to go with. We spoke about loads of players that you played. With there. Obviously, you started 11. What about in terms of does anyone stick out in terms of players you played against?
Well, I played probably 98% of my career at left back, but played a few times at centre back and left midfield to help cover injuries and stuff and bits and pieces. But there was one time, or it's actually happened to me twice, that managers for some reason got it in their heads that I'm going to go and play centre midfield. Yeah. And those 2 games, the first game was Manchester City away, and the second game was Tottenham away. And the Tottenham away game, I was in a midfield 3, and I had to keep tracks of Luka Modric, which is just not fair. It wasn't fair, honestly, mate. If you got too tight to him, he'd have 1 touch. If you gave him half a yard of space, he'd have 1 touch and play an unbelievable pass. His movement was frightening. He almost plays every pass with the outside of his foot. It's something that I've noticed after that day. He's just phenomenal, honestly. I don't know if you go and watch him, honestly. He plays about 75% of his passes with the outside of his foot. It's just phenomenal. And he was just, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I had to run around for 90 minutes, but I enjoyed it. And that's someone that's really stuck out. As in out-and-out wingers, I don't think too many have got the better of me, if I'm honest.
Ever the modest pro.
Yeah, I've had a few tussles. Lennon for Spurs. Bellamy was at Newcastle. We played Arsenal in a friendly game. Will Todd was out there. That wasn't fun. I don't think too many have got the better of me.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Like I say, the Modric one for me, yeah, top player. So that was probably a bad day to go and ask you to play centre midfield, to be fair. Thanks for that, Gaffer. So anyway, Tom. So in terms of next question, what are you up to now, really, mate? I thought it'd be a good idea to maybe get your plug in. I know you like a bit of foot golf.
Yeah, I play foot golf, really enjoying it. Like so many of us, got a really bad knee injury 3 years ago, actually, when obviously I was with you at the time, out in Arizona, and lost all the muscle in my leg, lost my quad, lost my hamstring, lost my calf. So it was a real struggle, and obviously knew I wasn't going to be playing football for quite a while. And a friend of mine said, "Why don't you come play foot golf?" I thought he was joking. I didn't even know it was a real thing, but something that I've really enjoyed and really loved playing. Don't know if you played yourself, but it's
No, I haven't. I haven't even played it, even for fun. I haven't even tried it.
It's growing rapidly as a sport, and some of the courses we're getting to play on now are just phenomenal. And anybody that loves the ball, loves what the ball does when you kick it and the different ways you kick it, and tying in the fact of it's a competition and you're competing against people to give it a go, because it is brilliant, mate. I absolutely love it.
That's good stuff, mate. And in terms of, obviously, we know that you have various other, businesses and stuff, and like I say, you're enjoying your foot golf day. I was just wondering, is there any plans for you to get back into professional football in some sort of capacity? I know a lot of the boys you played with do a lot of media work now, and a lot of them are coaches, and obviously a lot of them would be managers. I was just wondering, was there any chance of seeing you back involved in the professional game?
Well, after my knee injury, I've got back to playing. It's not a massive level, but I'm playing at #United, which is step 5, which I really enjoy. I'm still dragging the arse out of it. I'm 40 in a couple of months, but I don't think I'm player coach there as well. But until I actually stop playing, it's not something that's tick boxes for me. I've had people ask me to get involved with the agency side. I've been shadowing at a club in the Football League, going and watching them training and helping them out with training. But as I'm still playing, I'm just not sure. I don't know. Maybe I just don't want to give the ball up. I'm not sure.
Well, that's what I mean, mate. I think obviously, like I say, you still playing, still tearing the arse out, as you put it. But no, listen, that's great. I think anyone who's had injuries throughout their career will understand that you want to play for as long as possible. But like I say, I think with your wealth of experience and knowledge, I think it'd be a shame to see you not involved in football in some capacity. And I feel that once you stop playing, I think it might change for you on that side of it. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. To be fair, I've really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed it at Hashtag. I'm getting to help some of the younger lads there, and there's some real quality there, and I'm pretty sure some of those can definitely go higher. But yeah, as you said, I think once I actually finish completely, I think it will dawn on me that my own insight is going to be coaching or mentoring, or even at a younger level. I'm really not sure. So obviously, like there's different sides. You can be a coach, you can be a manager, and there's different formats it can take, the way you can get involved with the game still. And until I think maybe it was the injury, maybe the surgeon told me that I shouldn't play again. Maybe I don't. I'm not sure. I'm a little bit stubborn. I don't want to be told that I can't play again. I want to stop playing football when I'm not good enough or I'm not fit enough. Not because someone tells me I'm 40 years old or I'm too old, because that won't stop me.
No problem with that, mate. And keep cracking on, mate. Keep cracking on. Right, TW, been a pleasure, mate. Thank you for coming on. And like I say, if there's anyone interested, if you get any feedback or whatever, anyone is up for coming on, especially during this period of isolation, like I say, the more the merrier. I'm going to try and get as many of these done as possible, because for one, it's going to fill 2 voids for me anyway, personally. For one, it's going to there's a lot of people out there, a lot of football fans who are starved of not just football, they're starved of sport at the moment. So it fills that void for them, and also just for the younger players, not just the ones I'm working with, but I'm sure hopefully if they enjoy it and it becomes popular, get as many people on here, many opinions, many little nuggets of advice to give these younger players. So for me, that's the 2 main reasons why I'm doing it. And obviously, to be honest, from a selfish point of view, I thoroughly enjoy talking to either ex-professionals or current professionals like yourself, mate. So thanks very much for your time.
Appreciate it, mate. Good to speak to you.
No problem, T-Dubs. Take care. See you soon. Say hello to everyone from me, yeah?
Of course I will. Love you.